Alright, so in this video what we're doing is talking about finding the magnitude or absolute value of a complex number. But first, we need to figure out what does the absolute value of a complex number even mean. So let's look at the picture. So the complex plane, it looks a lot like the coordinate plane that we're all familiar with. In the coordinate plane we have the x-axis, which goes from left to right. We have the y-axis, which goes up and down. Well, remember our complex number, which we typically call z, is the same thing as x plus yi. Okay? So in the complex plane, our x-axis is going to become the real axis, and our y-axis is going to become the imaginary axis, because our x is the real part, our y is the imaginary part. Okay? So, for instance, the complex number 1 plus 3i, my x is 1, so for 1 plus 3i, 1 is the real part, which is my x, 3 is the imaginary part, which is my y. So, I go in the x direction, which is 1 unit right, I go in the y direction, which is 3 units up, because it's positive. I can also graph another complex number. Let's say if I have negative 2 minus 3i. So here is my x, here is my y, this is the real part, this is the imaginary part. So I go negative 2 in the x direction, negative 3 in my y direction. So there's negative 2 minus 3i. Graphing complex numbers is pretty easy. The magnitude of a complex number is just simply the absolute value of that complex number. And what that means is the distance from 0 on the complex plane. Okay, so for instance in the picture, here I have a complex number. Here's my 0, 0. The absolute value is how far away from 0 this complex number lives. And I can actually figure that out using this formula. What I need to know, though, to figure it out is my x direction and my y direction. I just need to count those units. Once I know my x direction, I'm going to square it. Once I know my y direction, I'm going to square it. And then to get the absolute value, I'm just going to square root. So I'm going to do this by hand, and then, like I've done in the previous videos, I'm going to show you how to do it on a calculator. So I want to find the absolute value, or the distance away from 0, of the complex number negative 2 plus yi. Well, I know any complex number is y plus yi. So my x is negative 2, my y is 7. So based on this formula here, my absolute value, and I'm just going to call this the complex number z, the absolute value of negative 2 plus 7i, it's just going to be equal to negative 2 squared plus 7 squared, and then I'm going to square root it. Okay, so negative 2 squared is 4, so I have the square root of 4 plus 49. Okay, 4 plus 49 is 53. So my absolute value is the square root of 53. Square root of 53 doesn't work out very nice, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But now I want to do the exact same problem in my calculator. First off, let's turn square root of 53 into a decimal, because that's going to come into play in just a minute. So square root of 53 is 7.28. Go ahead and write that in. Now what I'm going to do is use my calculator and find this exact same absolute value. First, since I see an I need to check my mode, make sure A plus BI is highlighted. Mine is. Make sure yours is too. I want to go to Math. Go back to the complex menu, CPX. And this time I want the absolute value, option 5. And I'm going to type my complex number in. Negative 2 plus 7i. Type it in exactly the way it looks. When you're done with the absolute value, close up the parentheses. And I get 7.28, which is exactly what I got by hand. So anytime you need to find a complex number, you can either do it by hand, but I really suggest, since it's easier, use the calculator. That's it for this video.